There we go. Good morning. Welcome back to Hong Kong and to my office, Howard for Film. Talking about two films today. One is the first one I'll talk about is A Rainy Day in New York. This is Woody Allen's latest film. Now, am I still a Woody Allen film? I used to be a Woody Allen film. Annie Hall's it's in my top five, in my top three, in my top two. Yeah, I think it's my second favorite film. So I like Woody Allen, but I'm not too keen on his latest, many of his latest films. I like Blue Jasmine, but many of his latest films I haven't been too keen about. They haven't been horrible, but they haven't been great. And well, I'll get to this. But, I sort of wonder when it's time to retire. I'm getting there, we're all getting there. And, as many sexagenarians, those are people who are into sex, those are 60-year-olds and plus. As many sexagenarians will tell you these days, myself included, 60 is the new 40. And look at people like Alan Arkin, George Segal, Donald Sutherland. They're all well in their 80s. You have Betty White, who's in her 90s. These people are still working, still going strong. It's amazing, fantastic. My father, my father's 94, is still working. And I feel as long as you enjoy what you're doing and you're healthy and you can bring a fresh perspective to your work, why not? Keep working. And maybe that's why Woody Allen is still working. At 83 years old, he's still pumping out about one film a year. So I say, you know what? Good on him that he's doing it. The problem I have, though, is his perspective. It's anything but fresh. The four-time Oscar winner seems to be stuck in neutral, giving audiences story after story of middle-aged men hitting on much younger women. And, we had 40 years ago, it was amazing, 40 years ago, he gave us Manhattan, wonderful movie, 40 years ago. I haven't seen it probably in 40 years. No, I think I saw it one time after that. Of a tale of a relationship between twice divorced 42-year-old Isaac, played by Alan himself, and 17-year-old Tracy, played by Marielle Hemingway. Sorry. This is what happens when you do these things first thing in the morning. At the time, it seemed a little bit misplaced. This, I don't want to call it May to September because it's sort of like January to May, let's say, romance. It seemed a little bit misplaced, but nobody, back then, 1979, nobody seemed to mind it too much. And you know what? The movie was a love letter to his city, to New York, and so people accepted it. And the film went on to win a number of major awards, including the César, the French equivalent of the Oscar. But the French, they love this sort of stuff. These middle-aged men with younger women. And the National Board of Review, very prestigious, it also won the award for Best Film. But that was 1979. We're now 40 years on. Times have changed. Probably many women will say, not enough, but let's not go there. But times have changed. And audiences are no longer okay with seeing that kind of relationship dynamic on the screen. Now, Alan marrying Suni Previn, his ex-wife, his ex-partner Mia Farrow's daughter, and the allegations that he sexually abused his and Mia's adoptive daughter, Dylan, certainly haven't helped his case either. Now, Alan, though, seems unperturbed by all the kerfuffle surrounding his relationship, both with Suni and possible abuse with Dylan. Look, I'm not making any judgment on the situation with Dylan. And also with Suni, she was an adult at the time that he married her. I just thought it was weird that a woman who was in his care is now his wife. But anyhow, he doesn't seem to mind all this, and he keeps making stories that revolve around unequal relationships. And that's what we have here with his latest film, A Rainy Day in New York, a film that was completed late last year, but sat on the shelf by its distributor, Amazon Studios, in the wake of the hashtag #MeToo movement. Now, in February of this year, Allen filed a $68 million lawsuit against Amazon for failing to meet its contractual obligations, and in May it was reported that Amazon returned the U.S. distribution rights back to Alan. So maybe, I don't know if they settled in cash or this is just how they resolved the situation. But the film so far has not been released in the States. It probably won't be released in the States unless he finds a distributor. Good luck with that. But it's slowly making its way elsewhere around the world, landing here in Hong Kong yesterday. Now, I remember reading the film cost, what did it cost? I wanted to say off the top of my head, 25 million. It seems a lot. 25 million to make, and so far it only has taken in just over 5 million US dollars. Maybe it'll take in another 5. So, financially, somebody's going to take a hit, and I think that's him. If he's distributing this himself, or whoever is distributing. No, I guess it'll be him. He's going to take the hit on this, or his producers. Because I don't think he produces his own films. So he's going to take a hit over this. But anyhow, let's talk about the movie. In a rainy day in New York, rich kid Gatsby Wells, played by Timothée Chalamet. We know him from the fabulous film Call Me By Your Name, fabulous film Lady Bird, awfully good film, Beautiful Boy. I wouldn't say fabulous, but really good film, Beautiful Boy. Oh no, Beautiful Boy I didn't really like all that much. I didn't like it as much as I should have, as much as I wanted to. So let's lower that one. Call Me By Your Name, loved. Lady Bird, loved. Beautiful Boy, yeah, okay. But Gatsby Wells is a student at a Tony. This is his word, not my word. I don't use the word Tony to talk about things, and to me, Tony's a name. But anyhow, it's also an adjective. He's a student at a Tony Liberal Arts College in upstate New York. Now, he's not your typical teenager that we see around these days. He enjoys playing hotel, piano bar, jazz standards, particularly on the piano at the Cafe Carlyle in Manhattan. Now, not coincidentally, Alan is noted for being a regular performer at that cafe, at that venue. Now, Gatsby also likes playing high-stakes poker, and he's very good at it too. And in fact, as the film opens, he tells his girlfriend, Ashley Enright, played by Elle Fanning, who is in The Beguiled, that he's flush with cash from a recent game that he played, and we're talking big bucks here. And she tells him that she needs to go down to the Big Apple to interview noted filmmaker Roland Pollard, played by Liev Schreiber from Fading Gigolo, Spotlight. He was one of the dogs voiced in Isle of Dogs. So she's going to go down to Manhattan to interview Roland Pollard for their college newspaper. So Gatsby says, hey, I got a lot of cash. Let's go down together. We'll stay in a nice hotel, and I'll show you around my city. Now, let's back up a little bit. Do colleges still have newspapers, or don't they do everything online these days? I just assumed that they did, but maybe they still have newspapers. I don't know. But anyhow, once they arrive in Manhattan, a series of events keeps the pair apart, as happens in Woody Allen movies, throughout the day, while the rain falls, of course, as the naive Ashley gets drawn into Pollard's chaotic world of horny middle-aged men who hit on her, while Gatsby runs into Shannon, played by singer Selena Gomez, who's the younger sister of an old girlfriend. That's basically what the story's about. Now, it's virtually impossible to separate Allen from his films, as his male leads are often the avatars of himself in days gone by. If he was younger, he'd be playing, he'd either be playing Gatsby or he'd be playing Roland Pollard, because actually they're both of them are him. Now, Gatsby is a highly literate New Yorker. He's a 50s jazz lover. He's a romancer of blonde shiksa goddesses. If you don't know what the word shiksa means, look it up. Shiksa. But so is Pollard. So that's why I say both characters are Allen in different ages, different ways. Now, thankfully, neither Chalamet nor Schreiber did they adopt the nebbishy whine that we've come to associate with Allen. They were their own characters, thankfully. Now, Gatsby, though, the name, it's a rather heavy-handed nod to, and nod and a wink, to the story The Great Gatsby, with Allen showing today's audiences that money and power haven't really changed all that much in 90 years. The Great Gatsby was written 90 years ago. Amazing. Now, but A Rainy Day in New York is more than just a modern-ish riff on the F. Scott Fitzgerald masterwork. It also plays with the themes of teenage alienation, and loss of innocence that are found in J.D. Salinger's book, The Catcher in the Rye. So if anything, I'd say Holden is more like, or a Gatsby is more like Holden Caulfield than he is like Jay Gatsby. So you should have called him Holden Welles. And as for the name Welles, I think it's a nod to Orson Welles, but I'm not sure. I haven't quite made that connection yet. But I don't think it's a coincidence that his surname is Welles. I think there's something there. I just haven't figured out what it is. If you have any ideas, love to hear from you. Send me an email. Now, A Rainy Day in New York may have worked and have been appreciated back in 1979, but this is 2019, and it's today. I'd say a story like this is tired and it's slightly creepy. It's enough already with these horny middle-aged guys hitting on young women. But to its credit, the performances all around are really good. So I don't want to say it saves this film because it doesn't. But at least the performances are good. Alan is undaunted though. Word is that he's hard at work on his next film, his 50th behind the camera, and it's due out next year. But this time though, he's left the city he loves and he's shot the film in Spain. So we're gonna have to wait and see if the change in location brings some new spark to his perspective, or if it'll be the same old thing. If it's the latter, Woody Allen, please retire. It's time to retire already. So that being said, you know what? The film, it's not horrible. It's mildly entertaining, but it's far from Allen's best work. This is A Rainy Day in New York, opened yesterday in Hong Kong. It's going around the world, will not be playing in America it's certainly it's not scheduled to go to America and probably won't go to America. But if you live outside, you'll have a chance to see it. So that's the first film I'm going to talk about. The second film is the big film that opened yesterday in Hong Kong, opens today in America, most other places around the world. It's Joker. Now, this is probably the most highly anticipated film of the fall prestige season, but it's also quickly become the most controversial. Joker is, as I said, it's only arrived in our cinemas yesterday, but already it's been yanked from screens all over the U.S. over fears of a repeat of the horrible mass shooting that took place 7 years ago at a midnight screening of 7 years ago, really, of the Dark Knight Rises in Aurora, Colorado. Now, are community leaders and police overreacting? Maybe they are, but if you lived in a place where guns are as ubiquitous as they are in the U.S., would you take a chance? Would you go to a cinema knowing that some crazy person with an AR-15 might walk in? I wouldn't. But it makes me glad that I live in Hong Kong, because even with our current socio-political problems, at least people don't have guns. Now, these similar socio-political problems form the backdrop to Joker, the origin story of Batman's most nefarious archenemy. In the story, it's set in the early 1980s, and Gotham City has literally become a rat hole, with garbage piling up on the street. Government social services are seeing their budgets being slashed, and the divide between the 2% and the other 98% is as wide as it's ever been. Where have we seen that before? Arthur Fleck, who's played by Joaquin Phoenix, we know him from many films like The Sisters Brothers, Mary Magdalene, the fabulous You Were Never Really Here. If you haven't seen it yet, highly recommended. Woody Allen's film, Irrational Man, which, again, older man hitting on younger woman, and Her, which I like, but my cousin Eric didn't. He's a single man in his 30s, and he shares a dingy flat with his mother, Penny, who's played by the wonderful, as always, Frances Conroy, who I absolutely loved in TV's 6 Feet Under many years ago. And he lives down the hall from his neighbor, Sophie Dumond, played by, also wonderful, Zazie Beetz. She keeps amazing me. She was Domino in Deadpool 2. She stole the film. And she was also in High Flying Bird. And she's going to be in another Domino film. Not her own, but she'll be starring in it as well. Now, she plays a working single mother whom Arthur is secretly in love with. Now, during the day, Arthur works as a clown for hire, but he has dreams of being a stand-up comedian. At night, he and his mother Penny, they sit down together after their meager dinner and they watch their favorite talk show host, comedian Murray Franklin, played by Robert De Niro. Now, after getting beaten up once too often, Arthur, who's on depression medication, God knows what else, he's on a lot of medication, and he has a condition that causes him to laugh like a hyena. If you've seen the clip, you know what I'm talking about, the trailer. When he's under stress, he decides to take matters into his own hands by shooting 3 Wall Street bankers who attack him just because they think they can. Now, rather than being appalled by the killing, Gotham citizens embrace the idea of the little guy standing up to the corporate fat cats, and this sets Arthur on his journey to become Joker. Now, the film is co-written and directed by Todd Phillips, the same guy who brought us the Hangover trilogy and War Dogs. I mean, wow, the guy has gone from zero to hero here. Now, who knew he had this darkness in him? Because Joker is dark. It is very dark. So, you know, I don't know, you know, the people who live in Aurora, Colorado, who made the decision to yank the film, I don't know that they saw the film. I sort of get, now that I've seen the film, I sort of get why they did it, you know. I get it, you know. Unfortunately, I get it, you know. But I haven't seen a film this bleak since perhaps Taxi Driver in 1976. Now, Phillips clearly had Martin Scorsese on his mind while he was making this film, as Joker pays homage not just to Taxi Driver, but also to another of Scorsese's films, King of Comedy, both of which starred Robert De Niro. So there's a reason why Robert De Niro is in this film. Now, Arthur is a little bit Travis Bickle, a little bit Rupert Pupkin, while De Niro is now playing, you know, he did play Robert Pupkin, he did play Travis Bickle, now he's playing Jerry Langford. If you know King of Comedy, you know who I'm talking about. Now, Phillips has been quick to point out that Joker is not part of the DC Extended Universe. If only all the other DC films were this good, Warner Brothers would be giving Disney a run for their superhero money. This is most of the DC films have been garbage. You know, I like Wonder Woman. Aquaman was like okay, but both of those made a lot of money. The others were like, yeah, you know. So this one is going to make, well, I don't know if this one's going to make a lot of money. I think it's going to have a huge opening weekend, but it is rated R, and it is getting this press. So I don't know if it's going to make a lot of money. We'll see. But I'll tell you something. The movie is an absolute tour de force, especially for Phoenix, who lost a whopping 52 pounds for the role, to the point where his shoulder bones and his ribs are sticking out. The guy is like, he's really bony in this film, which is amazing because he's sort of burly in real life. So anyone who's ever thought that Heath Ledger's Joker was the paradigm, they're going to be making a reassessment after watching Phoenix here. He is fabulous. The actor plays Arthur as a tragic figure who should be getting our sympathy, but we know that if we feel sorry for him, we're going to have to feel sorry for every mass shooter who felt the world wronged him, and we can't do that. So it's a really powerful performance and really well written because it puts us in an uncomfortable situation. You know, puts the audience in an uncomfortable situation where we want to feel sorry for somebody that we can't feel sorry for. We shouldn't feel sorry for. Now, of course, the NRA and its supporters will no doubt be saying in the coming days that Joker proves their thesis that mass shootings are a mental health problem. But let's remember that this is fiction, this isn't truth, and not everybody who is ignored by society picks up a gun and uses it. But anyhow, back to the film. Joker premiered at the end of August at the Venice International Film Festival, where it won 3 awards, including the Golden Lion for Best Picture. This is its highest prize. It also won an award, Icelandic musician and composer Hildur Gudnadottir, and I know I'm mispronouncing it, Hildur. I'm very sorry. I'm not good with Icelandic. But she did the music for TV's Chernobyl, so you know, fabulous. She also did the music for Sicario, Day of the Soldado, also fabulous. So she also picked up an award in Venice for her wonderfully disorienting score here. Now, more controversies notwithstanding, I think we can expect Phoenix, Phillips, Hildur, and cinematographer Lawrence Sher, who did War Dogs, they should get Oscar nominations. They wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. And lots of other nominations. Now, Joker will most definitely be included in my list of favorite films of the year, and it's going to be pretty high up on that list. I haven't done the list yet, but it's up there. Now, admittedly, this is a very, very tough film to watch, but it's fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous. I don't give out 5 stars often. Very, very rarely. I rarely give out 4 stars. This is 5 stars. So if you can handle the violence, if you can handle the darkness and the themes of this film, go see it. Amazing film. Okay, that was Joker. That's it for today. Short and sort of short, but sweet. It's a long weekend here in Hong Kong. Again, this weekend, Monday is Chungyung, which is Tomb Sweeping Day. So have a long weekend, have a good long weekend. And next week is Yom Kippur, fast day. So Jewish friends, have an easy fast. See you next week.